An intellectual carrot. The mind boggles.
You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life. But I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
One thing will be clear. It's not for man to interfere in the ways of God.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 164. I'm Aaron Pollier.
And I'm Darlene.
Now, you might not notice this from the way all of our episodes are released. We haven't recorded in a couple weeks. We've been kind of busy with real life stuff, so it feels strange getting back into the swing of things to record. But thankfully, you will notice no breaks in our episodes because we're always hard at work when we do have time to record episodes for you to listen to. It just felt weird, and we kind of came into a movie that I have been aware of since we started Earth vs. Soup, because I own this film, because I bought it from a used DVD store, okay? I bought it from a used DVD store and have never watched it, and then I kept seeing it. I'm like,
and
okay,
we watched it on Prime.
But we ended up watching it on Prime, and I'm glad we did, because the quality of Amazon Prime's version of it is very good. And the movie is Planet of the Vampires from 1965.
Or translated Terror in Space, whether you were in Spain or Italy. And that's where it was.
It is an Italian film. It is
Spanish film.
But it is all in English. Okay, so there's nothing weird here. And for an Italian film, there is no nudity. Did you notice that? A lot of these films from the 1960s that are Italian films, it doesn't matter what they are, there's some nudity in it. There's no nudity.
Maybe that's because it was Spanish too.
I can't say anything about Spanish films. I know that every time I'm watching an Italian film from any era, post World War II, for This Week in Geek or any of the associated review shows that I do with them, there's inevitably nudity in it. This one did not have it. I'm going to say that this is fun for all ages. It's completely fine. There is a little bit of blood in it because it does have vampires. No, it does not have vampires, but I'm just saying it's in the title. Expect blood, right?
Based on a short story, One Night of 21 Hours.
Sure. Okay.
$251,000 US budget.
That's a pretty good budget. It's a pretty good budget. It's not super low.
You can see where they used it and where they didn't.
Oh, this movie, I feel, shows its budget on screen. But this movie has issues. It is not a perfect movie. But I will say before we start reviewing it, this movie's a visual masterpiece. It is beautiful to watch. I don't mind saying that I hated almost every bit of dialogue in this movie, except for certain points where they're not talking technobabble that makes no sense at all. When they're actually talking about relationships between each other or a major plot point, then it's okay, I get it. But if it's just random dialogue that's happening during a scene, they're just chatting with each other, it's utter nonsense.
And when they're doing the technobabble, it's utter
nonsense.
20 G's!
40 G's, remember? They said
yes, it went up to 40 G's.
It went up to sustained 40 G's. No one died. Everyone's fine. Guys are walking around just... they're under stress.
He looked like a fly on a fly swatter.
It was 20 G's sustained for minutes, and they were all conscious. Most of them fell unconscious after a little bit, but all right, let's talk about the plot. And I hope before we do that, I can even sum up this plot in one sentence. Do you want to? Okay. This is Aliens. Actually, no, this is Alien. Excuse me.
Okay, that does not. That doesn't.
Which is weird because
that doesn't sum up the.
No,
price.
it is. It does. It
doesn't.
Okay, Darlene, spaceship finds a planet that has been two spaceships. Okay, fine. Let's say spaceships find a planet that has a strange signal coming from it. Okay, there's no signal there now. They land. They find another spaceship with a giant dead alien in it. They don't understand what has caused it. There are other aliens on the planet.
Oh no, you forgot
that use them as hosts.
You forgot that there was an angry. They all of a sudden, right after they landed and woke up, they were attacking each other.
Yeah, there's other things that are different from Alien in this, but if I just said this movie is Alien, years before Alien was made.
You're talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you think I was talking about?
No, I just took it for exactly what you said, not Alien the movie.
Alien the movie. Yeah,
Okay.
this is Alien the movie with a couple tweaks and much more nonsense babble. There's no android though either. Okay. Which is weird. So let's actually get into the details of the plot.
It starts with blurred spaceship in the credits.
Blurry model spaceship over the credits, and I thought, oh no. This movie is going to be garbage for visuals. They made everything out of focus. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. It just starts at a low note. Okay. Now, when we describe some of these special effects shots, they're all brightly lit with wonderful colors, high contrast colors. There are some amazing in-camera special effects shots where they film models underwater to make it look like it's much larger. Okay. They use mirrors in some of these shots that I can tell. Like they're filming through a miniature, using a mirror in the miniature to reflect the actors that are actually behind the camera. So they look like they're a part of this giant set. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm.
Those are mirrors that they're. And it is amazing because it looks like it was green screen, but it's not, because you don't see that classic chroma key kind of cut in there or a matte cut. They're literally using mirrors, and it looks damn near seamless in some of these things. I know I'm not talking about the plot, and I'm talking about like what I love about this movie, because I hate the plot. But go ahead, keep going with the plot, Darlene. Keep going.
We're on a large bridge. Now, the first thing I gotta say is the costumes.
Okay, we have to talk about the costumes in this. Oh my god!
Imagine a leather biker suit.
Yeah.
With very high collar.
Yes, not high collar like Time Lord's high collar, just like somebody has a dress shirt and has popped the collar, and the collar is about 3 times as large as it should be.
It's Elvis on steroids.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Right.
And they've got yellow piping.
Okay, that's fair.
It does have some black cloth to it on
their
the shoulders and elbows.
Yeah, their joints have it looks like sweater material, right?
Jersey or something like that.
And I had to point out the fact that the right leg on all of their uniforms have the zipper, and it looked different between the men's and women's uniforms.
You thought it was a pocket.
I thought it was a pocket, and the reason why I say it is a pocket is because it's only on their right leg.
And I said it might be for what was supposed to be a pistol or something.
Yeah, but it's a pocket, right? But it's this really inset zipper.
They never have small pistols. They have these huge.
Exactly. And it looked different between the men's and women's uniforms. But I think that's only because the women have hips.
Yes.
And it gave a curve to it, whereas the men's form is generally more straight up and down. So
and it doesn't matter which ship you are on, whether you're on the Gallet or the Argos, you've got yellow piping.
But their rank is different.
Their rank color is yellow on the Argos.
Sure.
And red on the Gallat,
whatever, the 2 spaceships. Their rank, though,
looks like SS.
It looks like an SS symbol.
And everybody has 2, except for the captain, which has 3.
3, but and it's like it's straight up and down. There's like a line through it, but all the way through it, right when we see them the first time, I'm like, are they wearing SS stuff? How did this get through the sensors? Like, but it's not. It just looks exactly like.
It wouldn't have got through the sensors on in Germany.
They're literally, yeah. No, I don't think this could have been released in Germany just because of that. It was very clearly the SS kind of lightning bolt thing.
I don't know how to explain this, but that's what I drew of it.
Yeah. Okay, so draw your classic SS, that jagged SS. Tilt it so like the center line is almost of the S's are almost up and down, and then put a line straight through those so they're all connected. That's what their rank is. But there was, to me, it was blatant. Now, is this a Nazi reference in the film? No, not at all. Not at all.
I think somebody thought it was looked good. The first time I saw it, I was just like,
it's SS.
Yeah,
exactly. So keep going.
Because I saw only the two. I didn't see the captains.
The captains that has like the
3.
SSS or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
There was a model that was
okay, look. The bridge of the spaceship has concrete floors.
It's not concrete.
No, after a while you saw that it was like vinyl sheeting on a concrete floor because of the way their heels sounded when it hit. The spaceship is way too big. They're investigating a planet that is seemingly made of fog, and here this is like the only time I'm actually writing down the science stuff that they were saying.
Well, I didn't write down any of that.
All garbage. They're circling a planet seemingly made of fog, and their sensors are unable to penetrate the clouds. They remark upon the number of meteors that they are deflecting with their, what is it called?
It's a
meteor rejector ray. That's what they call it.
And this takes place, this is an important little gadget too.
Oh no, this is plot very important. And it is protecting the spacecraft. They said they've been on their mission for quite a while, and they said, oh yeah, we've deflected like hundreds of meteors with this. Boy, it's good that we're safe. So it seems like this is a new piece of technology, maybe, that they're really impressed with.
Both ships have it.
Both ships have it, and does it...
I think they were talking about the fact that around this planet there was a lot of them.
But there isn't. Like, because later on they're traveling around, they leave the planet, and there's still meteors everywhere that they're deflecting. They're zipping by all the time.
Remember at this time, every time you had a spaceship go up, they're always having to move away from meteorites.
So this is the point where they're continually misusing scientific terms, saying that their spacecraft that's in orbit with them is going to keep a separation of 2 parsecs. And I looked over at you and I went, oh no, here we go. 2 parsecs is like over 6 light years. They're in orbit of 1 planet. No. Get a clue. All right. So then they are actually here searching for life because there's a signal that is an intelligent signal coming from this planet. But they're not sure if there's any life here because as soon as they got here, the signal stopped. So because the signal stopped, there must be no life here. Or they're confused about it for some reason.
I didn't get any of it.
Again, I don't understand.
And this is where we get into the 20 Gs as they're crashing.
So yeah, the ship starts crashing. It starts crashing for some reason. We're not really sure why. And they experience 20 Gs worth of acceleration, and they're acting like it's around 3 or 4, and everyone's kind of moving around. It looks like they're struggling a little bit, but it's not 20 Gs. Again, 8 Gs is generally where you're passing out.
Well, one of the women does pass out, and the way she's laying, her neck would have been broke.
Oh, sure, because her neck was just laying off the table that she was on.
And Mark, Markham,
Darlene,
Markery.
Do any of these characters have names that matter?
No.
The captain is the only person that really has a name that matters.
He actually moves in this, and he's older than a lot of the others.
He's Mark Markey. Anyway, Yeah, he's older than everybody, but he's able to withstand like the 20 Gs.
to move, and that baffles me as the guy beside him.
Older crew member has no problems with the heavy acceleration and deploys the landing legs. We later learned that they actually got up to 40 Gs because that's when the lady passed out, was at 20 Gs.
Yes, with her neck cranked over this. This.
So all their bones are made of metal, and they're not like made of biological material or something.
That still would have been metal.
Oh, sure. Well, depending on the metal, right? I mean, anyway, they landed in a really decent special effect. They actually filmed it underwater, and they had like bubbles coming out of the bottom of the spacecraft to like blow up paint that was laying on the bottom of the tank that they were landing in. So the special effect actually looked kind of cool. All right.
And the leg, you find out this is for 18 crew members. This is a huge ship because you've got leg showing. And
when they come out, the leg is huge. So this spacecraft is like, to give you a scale, it's likely larger than the original series Enterprise. Far larger. Like there could easily be a crew here. You could easily fit in a crew of 500, 600 people.
We find out at the end there's only 18 crew members because they say, there's only three
on both the ships. There's only 9 per ship.
9 per ship on a ship that's this size.
Well, they have auditorium-sized rooms that are just empty because that makes sense. Anyway. As everybody starts to recover, the woman on the crew starts attacking the captain for some reason. Everyone is seemingly trying to kill each other. One guy deploys the airlock and runs out onto the surface. He gets control of himself after he passes out from panic or something like that. For some reason. He passes out for some reason. I'm putting on the panic outside.
Outside, no helmet.
And he gets a hold of himself. And 2 of the other crew come out to get him that are also supposedly okay now.
Yeah, they're actually wearing the yellow helmets.
Yeah, so their suits actually can get like a helmet that like seals.
But they also have the leather helmet too.
So we then go out onto the surface to explore, and there's some really neat lighting and set stuff. They find 2 of their colleagues on the surface having killed each other already. They make it to the other starship that came with them and find that the whole crew has killed each other. Okay? Now, we're like a half hour into the film. I've been talking about, there's tons of dialogue, but again, the dialogue does not matter. Does not matter.
They bury the dead.
And try to figure out what's going on.
Under these sheets of metal with a metal weird...
They just take like scrap metal from the ship because it's not like the ships actually crashed. They both landed on their legs. But there's seemingly like wreckage everywhere that they're just using, and they're not really questioning
Maybe they're using pieces that are from
another spaceship, because there are other spaceships crashed on this planet, right?
I was going to say they're extra parts in the ship.
These look like wreckage. Now the plates that they're burying them underneath of, I said, yeah, those are probably spare hull pieces that they had on the ship. But there's like wreckage that they're using. And again, they're still wondering if there's life here. 1, there's wreckage everywhere. 2, there's clearly plants that we see on the surface they're standing next to.
And they put the dead in these plastic bags.
Yes. And I thought that was actually a really cool touch. Now, we learn that they're in plastic bags later on in another scene. It doesn't matter if I'm telling this out of order, because the dead rise from the grave, push off these plates, and they're still in their freaking morgue plastic bags and like tear out of them. And I said, you know what? For 1965, that's pretty creepy.
And we find out there are 3 watches. Now, there's 9 people on this ship, right?
Yeah. They have at least 5 separate crew positions.
They have 3 people that sit outside by the legs. Now, if I was afraid of getting attacked, I would not be outside. I'd be manning where the door is.
Well, why do they think they're being attacked? They're going to be attacked. And
I don't know.
No. It's because later on they return to the other ship to find all of the bodies that they left behind in the other spacecraft that they hadn't buried yet are just gone.
Are gone. Oh, that were locked into the
spacecraft.
Into the bridge.
Yeah, so they're just gone. So that's where we end up getting the bodies pushing their way out of the body bags. We also learn that this planet's orbit in 3 days will take these FTL spacecraft that are able to travel faster than light. In 3 days, this planet's orbit will take them too far to go home. Oh, God.
Was this one of those that I just bleeped out?
No, because I looked over at you and you went, that doesn't make sense. It's an orbit of it's a planet in orbit of a star. You have faster than light spacecraft, and in 3 days.
Yeah, that's why I blanked it out. I didn't even write anything on.
Dumb. So now you have this artificial time limit that they need to launch in 3 days. Well, why don't you launch in 3 days? Why don't you just go? Nothing's really stopping you.
Well, let's get back to the plot. There's lights that are shown by watch number 3.
Yeah, the strange lights 100 feet above the RVs.
Calls out watch number 2, and watch number 3 then calls out the captain, and this is where I don't know where watch number 2 went, but he's the one that ends up dead.
Yeah, watch number 2 guy gets his face ripped off. Right?
Yeah.
He's the guy who gets his face ripped off.
He's the one that they take upstairs, and there's that whole scene that didn't need to take place at all.
Where he attacks, what's her name? Tiona?
One of the ladies.
The blonde lady, Tiona. Well, again, the name doesn't matter, but the blonde lady. There's 2 ladies in here. There's a blonde lady and a redhead lady.
And
I'll be honest, there's some good acting in this, but
I guess they're trying to show you that they're coming alive because they think she's insane.
But she's not.
Because she saw 3 of the crew walking.
So they end up exploring more, and they end up finding an old abandoned spacecraft with a huge skeleton outside of it and inside of it. And again, this is where I say, alien.
Not human. We looked at the skeleton and go, definitely a vegetarian.
Yeah, there's no canines, so it's a vegetarian. It's a humanoid-ish skeleton, but it's very large.
Monkey-like.
But you said it had like 4 similar limbs.
It looked like it had 4 legs.
Maybe.
With 2 arms.
Okay, so you're saying it had like 6 limbs?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I didn't see that. I saw 4 limbs, but that's
Unless it was a tail.
I thought it had a tail, for sure. But anyway, they see that all this equipment is still operating. So like good scientists, they immediately start pressing buttons that they don't understand. And that's sarcasm.
Getting up to a
200 volt electrical shocks
on a button.
On a button. Because I don't care how big these creatures are. If they have, we learn what this button does. It opens doors. If you have it on you, it opens doors. But I guess these alien creatures were some sort of sadists that enjoyed having pain on them at all times because they liked being electrocuted continuously because these buttons were on them so they could open up doors. I don't understand it. Okay, so
their doors are circular too.
Yeah, so that to me that meant they were either underground dwellers that kind of like moved with all their limbs, climbers or something like that, or that they tended to exist in 0G inside their spacecraft, which is also possible.
Or water.
But all the equipment was on one side of the spacecraft, so that says that they did have gravity, or at least an agreed upon up-down system. Anyway, I was looking far too much into this because I was very bored with most of the movie, so I was trying to like pick detail out that I could at least make this interesting to me. So they see all this equipment still operating. The captain hits like a log because we hear alien talking.
Yes.
And then the door closes, and like any good safety system on a spacecraft, when you have the door closing and people clearly operating systems inside the room, it immediately starts pumping the air out. What the hell? All right, well, it gives them a reason to pick up the giant shocky button thing to get them out. Is there any big pressure change since they're having a hard time breathing?
No, because when you open up the door,
there's no problem. There's
no whoosh of it.
There's no problem. No problem at all. All right, so then they're surprised that 2 crew from the other ship that they couldn't find show up, and they're confused. Both women are concerned that they aren't who they say they are, and it turns out they aren't who they say they are, because it turns out Those two people are dead and possessed by alien minds. These aliens end up explaining that they don't want to die, that they exist on some sort of parallel plane of existence, that they don't have technology, and they want to leave this planet. Humans decide to make a fission bomb out of 3 pounds of plutonium to blow up the other starship that has no crew left alive on it. Not the alien spaceship, but their sister ship. A big fight ensues. The zombies...
somewhere you get that thing stole.
Yeah, I was just about to say. The zombies then steal the meteor defense array, and then our heroes end up stealing it back. This is like 10 minutes with plot, where it can be basically summed up as nothing happened, status quo. The ray guns that they end up having using in this firefight actually are kind of cool. They don't look cool, but when they actually fire this really focused jet of fire. It looks like it's from a blowtorch. And from a cheap-looking gun, it actually looked really good the way they shot it. The camera's like really close to it, so there's like this flare of light. It looked good. So the survivors launch, and the airlock door opens slowly. The younger guy, there's like 3 people that basically survive: Captain Mark Markey, Sonia, the redheaded woman, and Wes.
Wes, which is the guy that was in engineering and left.
Okay, so
home.
Wes sees the door opening and sees like the captain kind of looking at him with like... Oh, you
forgot the shaking of the volcano and whatever it was.
I don't care. Does that matter? I don't even have that written in my notes.
But I have it.
Okay, you have it, so I guess it mattered to you. So the captain's like looking at him strange. He sees him looking at him, and Wes goes to get Sonia and says, "Oh my God, I think the captain's been possessed by one of them. Maybe he died. Oh yeah, let's go see the captain." So they do, and then it turns out Sonia and the captain are both dead and possessed. So Wes ends up running into the engineering room and blowing up the meteor defense system, and then getting killed, right?
Getting killed because he kills himself.
Yeah.
Doing that.
So then Sonia and the captain go back to the bridge and say, well, we have to land because we have no meteor defense system. Well, where's the closest planet? How about this planet? It's the third planet of a system that we call Sol. And they show Earth. And the end. God, the plot of this movie. Okay, I'm going to talk about what I think worked in this film. The special effects were pretty cool. I actually thought, even though they looked like models, that they were kind of done on the cheap, the in-camera special effects with the mirrors and miniature sets, filming underwater for the spaceship models, that kind of stuff, even the gun firing with that like blowtorch, even though it was cheap, the way they shot it with what they had looked good. If there's anything that's going to stick with me in this film, it's the special effects and the cinematography / lighting that they did of the sets. It's very unique, very striking.
So we find out these people are not even from Earth.
No, but do you agree with my assessment that that's something that's actually pretty good in this movie?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's got some neat...
It's visually very interesting. Even the plants are like these weird sponge things that are on the surface. Did you notice that? I did.
Yes, I
thought
did.
That was pretty cool.
What made me think of it is that the planet used to be underwater. And those got petrified.
The weird well, that's probably due to the spacecraft landing underwater. The effect, how it was shot, might probably put that into your mind as well. But I'm going to say that the acting worked for 2 people. And that's Barry Sullivan as Captain Mark Markey, who has been in a ton of films, not really any science fiction. But here's what's an interesting fact about Barry Sullivan. When he came in to film his ADR, because a lot of times they had to re-record their dialogue over the film, Darlene. You know, that's how it's done often. When he was watching the film, supposedly he openly cried about how beautiful the film looked. I actually think his acting was pretty good, and I think Norma Bengal, who played Sonia, the redhead, her acting was above average pretty good. So the 2 leads, I think, actually did a pretty good job.
Most of the time I was like, what the crap?
No. The writing, the dialogue in this is utter shit, which is shocking to me. And the reason is that one of the writers is Ib Melchior, and I always mispronounce his name, but he is
Red Planet.
he has actually written quite a few movies that we have reviewed on this, and some of them we've actually really
Robinson
liked.
Crusoe on Mars.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars, The Time Travelers, Journey to the Seventh Planet. That's the one where they go out on the surface and they have that like artificial environment that's produced for them. The one the guy sticks his arm through it and gets it frozen.
Okay.
You remember that? Reptilicus.
We have not done Reptilicus.
He did no, but we know Reptilicus.
We do know
and he also wrote the American version of Godzilla Raids Again. And we've reviewed Godzilla Raids Again.
But it's not the American version.
Have we reviewed Godzilla Raids Again? Now I have to look at my notes really quick, folks. I'm sorry. Hold on. Have we? Guess what? We have. It's next episode. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so you will hear our review of another one of this writer's episodes, one of his other movies, next episode, and we'll have a guest host for that. We'll have Charles Wilson back, so you get to hear his take on some Godzilla films. But yeah, we recorded an episode with him already, just slightly out of order because of timing and scheduling issues. Anyway, this writer has written good things before. This is total nonsense. Total nonsense. So I'm going into the things that don't work.
So you're going to recommend this for
no.
visuals.
I'm not recommending anything. I've just talked about what worked in this movie, which is two of the actors, the visuals overall. That means special effects, cinematography, camera, all that. That is all very good. What does not work is the writing. I can't say the plot because the plot has interesting ideas in it. It's the dialogue and general...
It has bad execution.
It's just really poorly executed. You're right. But outside of that, is there anything here that really, truly doesn't work? Besides the writing.
The technobabble.
Technobabble's part of the writing. But yeah, the technobabble's
The dialogue was horrible.
Dialogue, terrible.
The adding stuff that doesn't move the plot forward. So it's the plot.
Hold on. I'm going to take back my acting recommendation. Because I was just thinking about this.
Because he didn't act the way
captain,
that was.
The captain has a son. He's dead. He gets killed in this.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to care. Screw that bad acting. I take it back. There
was bad acting on his part with everybody else is passing out and he's still his hand shaking to hit the button.
Yeah.
And then goes over top of somebody to put down the legs.
Fine. I retract my statement about Barry Sullivan being a good actor in this. I will keep by saying Norma Bengal was a pretty good actress in this. But
it could also be director.
Yeah, the pacing is awful. Like I said, I could when we were still talking about the plot, when we were detailing the plot, there's like chunks of this movie that do not matter at all, even to itself. That they're there literally only to give you something to look at.
Because they don't.
Fair enough, it looks good.
You don't get the like. It would have been nice to have a little bit of time before that you get to know the characters, so you get.
Oh, that like they're on the surface exploring before things start happening.
I'm talking about before they even start landing.
No, you see, here's where I'll disagree. Forbidden Planet. You don't really get to know the characters very well before they land, but you get to know them on the surface before things start going to shit.
That's what you need is before things
Something
get
like
shit.
That. Yeah, just let them land on the surface, start exploring this interesting new world. They're looking for life.
And it doesn't even make sense of why there was anger and everything. But that's because the
alien mind things want to have them kill each other because they can only possess dead bodies.
I'm not recommending this.
You're not. We're just looking at each other. We're not. Before we started, I was thinking, boy, you know what? I might lightly recommend this because it's so visually engaging.
So he recommends it
No,
for
hold on. No,
a
I'm
movie
not.
to put on the...
Because after we've talked about it, I think...
Let me finish my
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
I was going to say you'd recommend it for a movie that can be set on the TV and nobody pays attention to it.
Yeah, but we've done that with a couple movies already. Hey, this is a movie you can mute and have on at a party, but it's because this was made for a visual spectacle, and that is what you said about 2001. That this is just a visual spectacle, but if you mute that movie, you lose like 80% of it.
I said I couldn't watch 2001. It made me sick.
All right. So no, I'm not going to recommend this, but it's a light non-recommendation because there is a nugget of good in this, and it's very strange the parallels with Alien. Very strange the parallels with Alien. Like
I don't remember Alien.
Oh, you remember Alien. If I put it on, you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this. They're on Nostromo. There's like they go to this planet, they find this big skeleton sitting in a seat, and there's like alien eggs around, and there's the android. If I put it on, you'd be like, okay, I know what this next scene is. I know what this next scene is. I know, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
All right. You got it. You know what's going on.
I know what the aliens are.
Yeah. You know what it is. Anyway, yeah, mine's a light non-recommendation, Darlene. Light non-recommendation, heavy non-recommendation, what?
I don't recommend it.
You just don't recommend. See, I'd give this like a 3.5 out of 10. Like really, all of the only reason it's not like a 1 out of 10 is because honestly, it is interesting to watch.
I like the aliens' bones.
You liked the overall visuals of it. You're like, the special effects were kind of cool. You even said that while we were watching it. So,
but I could make a lot of better movie than that.
No, yeah. The lesson that you should take away from this film is, man, you need to look at your dialogue. You really need to look at your dialogue, and maybe this is partly. It's obviously the director has some fault in this. The writer has fault in this. I would even go so far as to say, if the actors didn't bring up the fact that this dialogue is just drivel, they wouldn't have been doing their jobs. I hope that they did. But the fact that like the main guy, Barry Sullivan, was so happy with this film because of how visually beautiful it was. I don't know. Man, it's rough. So
it's visually beautiful. It's brain dead.
Yeah, I did not enjoy watching it beyond watching it. So we'll leave it there. As I said, next episode, we'll be doing Godzilla Raids Again, which is the second Godzilla film.
We already recorded it.
Yeah, we already recorded it. It has your favorite Godzilla monster in it, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Anguirus.
Uh-huh.
The ankylosaur critter.
Because I could kick his butt with it when we were playing the video game.
You just liked his style, too, that he could roll up into a ball and not get hurt. And Anguirus is like one of those monsters that's just kind of indestructible. Like, Godzilla could be killed, technically. Anguirus...
Yeah, we watched it was interesting about its suit.
Oh, yeah, the suit. Yeah, we'll talk about it in the review. But Anguirus is kind of indestructible in his own way. The only time we see him in the new movies, the new Legendary movies that have been released over the past few years in the US, there's a brief view of his skeleton in the second movie. Where outside of remember when they go underwater and go into the ancient city where Godzilla is recuperating because it's so radioactive?
Okay.
There's an Anguirus skeleton right outside. Very briefly, blink you'll miss it, but there's an Anguirus skeleton.
Well, I blinked and missed it.
Yeah. So we'll leave it there, folks. We hope you enjoyed listening. I know it's kind of a short review, but really, this movie is very empty. This movie was very empty. So I'm Aaron.
I'm Darlene. Good evening.
And keep watching the skies.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.